It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
I've squatted and I've lifted, and as I've squatted and lifted, I've heard this rip. And I'm talking, it was a big rip. And then I felt a breeze. I split my pants.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
It's April Fool's Day. We're not going to do anything April Fool-ish because we're just not that creative and we've got too much pressure in our lives. We don't need the stress of it. Unless you've got something for me, Kylie. Any April Fool's jokes?
No.
Come on. I'm expecting more from you. I'm the fun one, aren't I?
Of course. We've already established that.
Yeah, totally. I think that if you're a parent that hasn't done an April Fool prank yet with your kids, maybe there's an opportunity. I will say this, though. Babies that were born yesterday, babies that were born on March 31st, they're the easiest to prank on April Fool's Day because they were literally born yesterday.
That is so bad.
You didn't like that? I thought that was really, really good. Okay, I was doing my best. Hey, did you hear about the guy who swapped the labels on the pumps at the petrol station?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it was an April Fuels joke. Oh, gosh. I'm not getting anything. Should we just get on with the podcast?
I hope so.
I was waiting for you to say, Justin, did they name April Fool's Day in your honour or something like that? But should we do it? I'll do better tomorrow. It's the last. This is the last I'll do better tomorrow of term one for anyone in Queensland. Queensland school holidays are starting at the end of today. In fact, some schools are already on a break. Kylie, I'm going to start with our I'll do better tomorrow today, and I want to share just a couple of things for a little bit of fun, if that's okay. The first thing is that I'll do better tomorrow, for those who are not familiar, is where we talk about the mistakes that we make as parents or the wins that we have as parents and how we can reflect on them and be better as people, be better as parents. Last week, I had an experience that I forgot to mention on the podcast, and it kind of fits here. It's not really a parenting experience, but it's definitely something that I need to do better with tomorrow. And here's what happened. So as everyone knows, we've been going through this long and enduring process of getting our house ready for sale and selling our house and having it on the market and all that kind of thing. And as part of that, you're living an hour and a half away from me. You're on the coast. I'm on the south side of Brisbane. And I go and be with you and the kids, have 2 or 3 days every week with the family, and then I come back home so that I can keep the house in order because the open houses mean that the house has to be perfect and all that kind of thing. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago, I was up there on the weekend and came home. On Monday morning, I got up to get dressed so that I could go and give some presentations, real-life presentations in front of real-life people. No webinar. And
You make it sound like it's a novelty.
Oh, it was so exciting to be in front of an audience that could interact with me. So I put my nice my nice formal shirt on. I've pulled my slacks on. I'm looking really dapper. I've done my belt up, grabbed my socks, put them on. I reached for my shoes and I remembered that I left them on the Sunshine Coast an hour and a half away, and I only had 40 minutes to get to the venue so I could give my talk. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? So
what did you do?
Well,
you rang me.
I rang you.
Do you think I was going to have an answer for you?
Do you think, first thing on a Monday morning when the kids are supposed to be going to school, that you've got time to drive through peak hour traffic all the way down the Bruce Highway, all the way down to the south side of Brisbane and get me my shoes, and maybe I can meet you somewhere and somehow still make it to where I've got to go 40 minutes south of here? Like, I don't even know why I was thinking that was a let's hire a helicopter so I can get some shoes kind of idea. And so what I decided to do, thanks to your brain, was I took all the formal gear off. I put my nice white linen long-sleeved shirt on, a pair of shorts and my thongs, and I showed up. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are in America or from anywhere other than Australia, when I say that I was wearing my thongs, they go on my feet. They're what you might call jandals. I don't know what else they're called. Kylie, what else do people call them other than thongs?
Flip-flops.
Flip-flops, jandals, whatever it is. In Australia, for those of you who are international followers of our podcast, we call them thongs. But they're not the kind of... Well, let's just say that if you put the other kind of thong on your foot, that would look kind of silly. I'm going to stop right there. So I'm wearing thongs, I'm wearing shorts, and I'm wearing my shirt. And in the end, I threw my thongs off and presented in bare feet and shorts to the students and then to the staff. And then I raced down to the shops at lunchtime and I bought some shoes, Kylie. And I popped my nice new formal shoes on. I'd taken a change of clothes and I looked just the way I should. But that's not the end of the story. If that was all the story is, That would just be a minor blip. The next thing that happened is while I was at that venue, after I'd gotten my new shoes on, I was presenting in front of the group and I went to jump up onto the stage. I'd been down on the floor, but there was a big enough audience. I needed to be up on the stage so I could do something. I was getting somebody to interact with me and I wanted everybody to see it clearly. I've put my hands on the stage and I've jumped, and because I'm kind of athletic and I like to think that I'm somewhat strong, I've jumped, and that required me to flex all of my muscles in my upper body to jump high up onto that stage, and I ripped my shirt. So now I'm presenting in front of all of these staff, and then that night in front of all of these parents with the shoulder of my shirt in front completely torn because my chest, shoulders and biceps were just too big for me to do that strenuous work of jumping up onto the stage. But wait, there's more. So I get home, I throw that shirt in the bin, I put my new shoes in the cupboard so that I don't have the problem, because the next day I'm going into Brisbane to Mansfield State High School. It's got like 3,500 students, really, really well-regarded school. They're doing a great job. And I've shown up to give my talk to the students that morning, 550 grade 11 students. I'm talking to them about their mental health, their well-being. It went so well. In fact, it went so well that the recess buzzer went, and I was halfway through my last story of the talk. I'd gone a few minutes overtime because they started a bit late. And 550 year 11 students sat. Didn't even give any indication of impatience. They were loving it. So I kept them in from recess for about 5 or 7 minutes so I could finish the story. But then that night, the parents came in and we had a couple of hundred parents. It was a great group. I'm putting all of my books back into the car at the end of the night, and I've squatted, like I'm wearing my very fancy suit. I've squatted, put my hands around the book boxes because I'm carrying about 3 of them and they weigh about 35 kilos. I've squatted and I've lifted, and as I've squatted and lifted, I've heard this rip, and I'm talking, it was a big rip, and then I felt a breeze. I split my pants. In front of all of the people who'd stayed behind to help pack up. I split my pants literally from my belt line all the way down the back, almost to the back of my knee. It was like a 40 to 50 centimetre split, just decimated my pants.
Well, you've given everyone an awesome laugh for the morning, but I am wondering what that has to do with parenting.
What does it have to do with parenting? Oh, yeah, because sorry, I got so caught up in the story, I forgot that there was a parenting point here. Well, let me just read my notes on my, when I was thinking about what to share and I'll do better tomorrow, last night, I was laying in bed on my own, eating some Darryl Lee white chocolate raspberry bullets.
You were having some chocolate therapy?
While I was laying in bed.
Feeling sorry for yourself?
This has been a fairly revealing podcast today, hasn't it, really? The thought that I had was, buy clothes that fit. No, I'm just kidding. My clothes actually do. Well, maybe. Anyway, let's not go there. Well, the thought that I had in terms of how we can do better tomorrow as parents is life is full of mishaps and mistakes. Clothing rips. People lose their pants or forget their shoes. And in spite of it all, we can still carry on. Life still works out if we don't take things too seriously, if we don't lose the plot and blow up, if we just laugh and say, oh, well, I guess I'm going to have to buy a new suit tomorrow. Somehow it all just works out. And in some ways that's reassuring. People are forgiving of the fact that I forgot my shoes. People are forgiving of the fact that my shirt tore or that my pants are broken. And we can be the same with our kids. When they make mistakes, sometimes we can just laugh it off and go, I guess that stuff happens, and let's find the humour. That's a really long way of saying don't take life too seriously if you can avoid it. That's my I'll do better tomorrow.
Well, after the break, I'm going to share how that information may have been helpful if I'd had it a week earlier. Dr. Coulson.
Your daughter just walked by, eyes glued to her phone, expression unreadable. You ask her to put it down, but she balks. You know it's not good for her, but you're not sure why or how to support better choices. In the webinar Pixel Perfect, I join with psychologist and teen tech expert Jocelyn Brewer to discuss how to set screen boundaries that work for you and your daughter. Check out Pixel Perfect now on the Happy Families webshop.
It's the Happy Families podcast, the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now. And I was just thinking to myself, I wish I'd had your learnings from last week a few days ago.
You're taking life a bit too seriously lately, are you?
Well, I didn't think I was, but the other night, Miss 11 decided that she was going to help out with dinner and she was going to make pizza.
Oh, you don't do well with this. I just said it publicly. I'm so sorry. But you're so good in the kitchen and therefore you have this high standard, right? And things have gone wrong. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, I left her to do it and I was feeling a bit under the weather. So I'd been lying down and just, kind of trying to deal with my headache. And I walked out. And what I saw, I've never seen before. She had covered the pizza base with her tomato paste.
Yeah.
And instead of grating the cheese, she had sliced the cheese and stuck slices of cheese all over the top of the pizza.
You're saying that like that's a problem.
Who slices cheese and puts it on a pizza?
Well, that's what the kids do when they do cheesy toasts. They put a bit of tomato sauce on the bread.
Well, that's exactly it. It was literally like she made
cheesy toast on a pizza base.
And so I looked at her and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Why did you not grate the cheese?" And she kind of looked at me and she said, I couldn't find the grater and I just thought I wouldn't bother you because I know you've got a headache and I was trying to be helpful.
So she's used creativity and compassion.
Oh, you don't have to make me feel any worse than I already do. And so anyway, I just was like, you don't put slices of cheese on the pizza. And I stormed out of the kitchen and I made it the whole 5 steps down the hallway to my bedroom because we're in such a tiny space. And I got to the bedroom door and I went, I can't believe I took that so seriously. So I stormed back into the kitchen.
You're having a bad day. So we all have days like that. It's okay.
I stormed back into the kitchen and I said...
You stormed back in. I love that you're angry at you now, so you're going to storm back into the kitchen to let her know that you're angry at you.
So I said to her, we don't all have to make pizza like Mum. I don't mind that you've done a sliced cheese pizza. Just next time maybe use the grater. And then I stormed back up to the bedroom and then I went, I'm really getting this so wrong. So I sat on the bed for a few minutes and I walked back out once I'd calmed down and I said, I'm really sorry. I completely overreacted. And we were able to have a little bit of a laugh afterwards. But I sometimes just forget to lighten up and recognise that it doesn't have to be done my way.
Oh,
the pizza still turned out and they enjoyed it and it all got eaten.
Hang on a sec. Are you saying that you just let the kids eat a cheese pizza? There was no pineapple on it. There was no mushroom on it. There was no anything on it. Just cheese?
Just cheese.
Oh, Kylie. Oh, now this is something that needs to be taken seriously. Forget that they sliced it. It was just cheese. I think that we need to have a family council about this. We need to have a family meeting and talk about how pizza should be made. What a wonderful story. What a great story. Take-home message.
Lighten up.
Yeah.
There isn't one way to do a job, and more times than not, our children are going to show us some really creative ways to do things if we're open to it.
Yeah, and I love that she's just got this good heart. She didn't want to interrupt you. Can't find the grater. Mum's not feeling well. I'll just find another way to do it. Such a great kid. Such a great story. We sure do hope that the take-home message from today has been received loud and clear. It's going to be okay. Smile. You will get through it, even if the pizza is dodgy and your clothes are ripped and falling off you. It's going to be okay. Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. If you're in Queensland, enjoy the school holidays. One more week for most of the other states, and we can't wait to be back with you with some of our very best parenting tips from our favourite interviews over the last couple of years, starting Monday next week.